My buddy Ian Boothby is joining me. He's a comedian who writes. He writes comic books and writes for TV and podcasts and radio dramas, and you do a lot of improv. We're going to find out about his career, and finally we're getting him on EP. I've known you for years and years. We bump into each other at conventions and all kinds of cool things, and thank you for joining us today.
Oh, no, this is a real treat. I watched the show, so I'm not 100% sure. I'm not dreaming right now. I keep checking to see if I'm wearing pants.
I feel that all the time, actually.
Yeah,
good. For the record, we're both wearing pants, but it would be okay if we weren't.
Yeah. Check the bonus footage camera under here. You can, if you Patreon or subscribe, you'll get the...
Yeah, the Patreon supporters get the no pants option. Vaz Vegas, good to see you. JBJ Blaze and TFA, thank you for joining us. Steven Silva, Timberwolf, Will M, Adrian Leon, Garnot B, Fred Wicks, lots of great people in the chat, and we are going to take questions and comments and stuff, I promise. But first, let's find out a little bit about This Is Your Life, Ian.
Oh, geez. All right. Sure. Let's get into it.
Where did you grow up? Where was your
originally grew up in Montreal, Quebec, and family moved here when I was 11.
Okay.
And I always wanted to act. Yeah. I think we had a similar background. We've, if you look, you'll find weird footage of us from the 80s and 90s in various Canadian television shows. But I found out that the best way to get acting work was to write your own stuff. So I started when I was about 13 writing.
I hear that. It's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I used to be on a TV show called Switchback here in Vancouver.
Crazy. Okay. And then when did you sort of get this bug? Was it in high school? Was it something that you were like in theater and so you wanted to do this?
I was kind of a loner kid, and my teachers were worried about me and said you should go to acting school.
Okay.
And so that's what I did. And about when I was 13, I started writing sketch comedy. I always loved sketch comedy.
Yeah.
And then when I was 16, I started doing my own comic books. I started just like Xeroxing comic books, and then I ended up being able to do it professionally.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Were you selling your comic books or giving them to friends? You were.
Yeah, I would take them to like the local comic store, and
was it a comic shop?
It would be the comic shop,
awesome.
And they would put them on commission. And when I would go into the store and I would hide the comics, and I would come in and go, "Have the comics sold?" And they would go, "Yes, apparently they've sold," and they would give me money. Yeah.
Are you just revealing that for the first time?
I think enough time has passed that I'm okay with doing that.
Sorry, Keith.
Yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, go to the comic shop. It's a good shop.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
And so you got a taste for it. You wanted to do a little bit of writing and a little bit of performing. What was the first sort of paid thing that you got? Was it an acting gig or was it a writing gig?
Okay. The first paid gig I ever had was for BC Hydro.
Yeah.
And it was me and some other kids, and we were young toughs.
Yeah.
Young toughs, and I'm about 12, so yeah, that tough. And we had a coat hanger, and we're sticking it into a power box, and the whole thing was, don't stick coat hangers into power boxes, as kids do, right? And so I asked later on about, like, so this is really dangerous? And I was like, nah, sort of. So you turned off the power to the power box. They didn't.
Oh.
So if you ever see the video, I'm actually doing the thing you shouldn't do.
Oh, my God.
But I got $200, so that's fine.
That's also TV magic. There's a look behind the scenes right there.
Yeah.
That is nuts.
And also, please, kids, stop sticking coat hangers into power boxes.
Yes. And
I know it's so much fun.
If you have kids, don't let them do that either.
Yeah, there was no Tide Pods back then, so that's how you had to make our own good time.
Yeah, you electrocute yourself. And so you started, did you have an agent? Did you sort of
I did, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and so I went out to, I was on 21 Jump Street. Nice. I was in Happy Gilmore. You can see me catch a sub sandwich in my mouth that Adam Sandberg, that's wrong.
You put them together.
Yeah. You know the guy. He golfs a sandwich into my mouth.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
that's hilarious. I also was on 21 Jump Street.
Tell me what you did.
I got to make out with a girl all day long. They put me and this girl that I didn't know, and they said, "You guys are a couple, and then we're just going to have you kissing all day long." And that was my weird day as an extra on 21 Jump Street.
My plot was this: I was a nerd, and I was helping Aoki because there was a prostitute, and here was the scam they were running.
Oh, yeah.
She would do her prostituting, and while she was prostituting, someone would steal the stereo from the house.
Okay.
And so I was letting Aoki use my house for the sting operation.
Vancouver sounds so dangerous. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And so you were acting and you were doing some extra work
Yeah.
and working on different things. And when did it sort of become clear to you that it was going to be time for you to build your own stuff?
It was when I was like about 18, and there's a mini comics movement that was kind of going around. And I wanted to tell stories about myself, and I also wanted to do funny stories. And I found like doing the self-publishing thing was the best way to do it. So I did about 20 issues of a comic called I, and Matt Groening saw that. He was just starting off Bongo Comics, doing Simpsons comics, and he liked that. And over it was a longer period of time than the story makes it seem.
Yeah.
I started doing backup stories for them, and then eventually became the lead writer on the Simpsons and Futurama comic books.
That is amazing. And so Groening, that's how the Simpsons started, right?
Absolutely,
they used to be in, there was a local paper here called the Georgia Straight, but they were all over the place. Is Groening from the area? Or?
He's from Oregon.
From Oregon. Oh,
Yeah.
so Pacific Northwest.
Yes.
And so he would travel to like the Emerald City Comic Con and...
Well, we were actually at the Alternative Press Expo in San Jose, and it wasn't Matt that was there. It was a guy named Scott M. Gimple that was there, who's now the lead producer on Walking Dead.
Oh, wow.
So he was the guy who technically hired me, but he showed my stuff to Matt.
That's wild.
Yeah, because he was working on
And that is how
the comic
small
back
the
then.
sort of creative universe really is,
Yeah.
right? There are just a few steps between meeting some of the top people at some of these places.
Absolutely.
Did you have any idea when you started working on the Simpsons books? Because did it predate the show, or was it sort of...
No, it was after the show. He didn't want to just give the comic book rights to someone to just go with it. So he kept a good, nice bit of control on it and started his own company.
That's great. Now you have been the longest working writer on the Simpsons books.
That's right.
How long have you been writing?
I've been writing. Oh boy, that always makes me feel old. But I've almost 20 years now.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And so the series was in what, its third season or second season?
About fourth or fifth season then. Yeah.
Crazy. But it was a juggernaut. It was huge.
Beyond huge. Nothing was bigger.
The comics must have sold like gangbusters back then too. Right?
Yeah. Especially in Europe, in Germany and Australia, it was bananas.
Yeah.
Me and my wife have gone. My wife is Pia Guerra. She's more famous than me. She should be on the show. It's International Women's Day. Why am I here?
That's what I've been thinking all day long.
She's even in the room. It's ridiculous that this is even happening. But we did a tour once of Germany with just about the comics, and it was crazy how popular they were.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Have any of your stories been transferred into other media?
There's been similar stories. I did the first Simpsons Futurama crossover.
Okay.
And they've since done that on the show.
Oh, wow.
And there was a joke that I wrote for a calendar, because I also used to write the calendars, that ended up in the Simpsons movie.
Wild.
Yeah.
Now, because you've worked so closely with the team, and you've known Matt, and you've known Scott, who doesn't work with them anymore, but have you been a part of the animation sort of construction? Have you gone to see...
No, I have gone. They used to have the Futurama offices were in the same office as the Bongo folks.
Okay.
So that was a little bit, which was neat, because they used to have a Secret Service person there, because Al Gore's daughter used to write on the show.
Oh my
God. That was a weird little thing. We were like, why is the Secret Service here? It's like, that was the thing. But no, I haven't really been involved in the animation side of things, because I want to stay in Canada. I love Canada.
Yeah.
I love living here. So I haven't really done the Los Angeles thing. I go down to visit, but that's about it.
Okay, very cool. And tell me about working on this book. How tough is it? Like, are they scrutinizing? Does it have to have like a comedy threshold? Like how much leeway
does it have
do
to
you
have a comedy threshold?
I didn't make me laugh enough. I need 6 more laughs. So
okay, sure. Yeah, they would. Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
I think it has to be as funny as the show, or otherwise people will be, very disappointed. Yeah. I try to make it as good as I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say that. The trickiest part is that there's been so many over the years. There's been so many stories on television. Find a new plot.
Right.
That's the trickiest bit.
Right.
That was the nice thing about writing for Futurama, was there's less episodes, so there's more things to do.
Okay, gotcha. I noticed you had a cover in here. I grabbed a few covers.
Sure.
Some of the books that you worked on. I hope you worked on all
probably,
of these.
yeah.
Yes. But there was one with the Mighty Mo, where he's kind of hulking out. Is that something that you would kind of focus on? Is like finding a character?
We have done a surprising amount of Hulk parodies.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's even an action figure of Homer as the Hulk. But that that comic was a standalone Mo story.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, and the story I wrote in that one was about Mo remembering that he had a long-lost twin brother that got him in a whole bunch of trouble.
Okay.
And I'm going to ruin the twist. Mo got a little substance abusey, and it was actually his mirror reflection that he was remembering.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite in the Simpsons pantheon?
Yeah, it probably is the Simpsons Futurama crossover.
Yeah.
I was really happy with how that turned out, and I did it with my friend James Lloyd. We had like a nice Eisner nomination for the reprint book.
Nice.
And it was nice getting to that before anyone else got to that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you are now, a multi-year veteran in the comics industry, and I have a lot of people that watch our programming and have forever that are kind of trying to figure out where they're going to go and what they're going to do. They may have talents in this direction. What have you learned that you would pass on?
Definitely make your own stuff and find your own voice before you start submitting to companies. And I think the best way to do that now, for me, it was going to the Kinkos and Xeroxing stuff, but now you got the web, so put up webcomics. Yeah. There's so many amazing webcomics, and anyone can see them, and you do something on a regular basis, week after week, or day after day is even better, you will get noticed. If it's quality material, it's going to eventually get noticed.
And is there any, are there any books or any software or anything that you would recommend that people?
I would say Scott McCloud's Understanding Comics is a fantastic book.
Okay.
Aside from that, read as much as possible. That's the same thing if you want to be any kind of author or actor. If you want to be an actor, go watch plays and go watch movies. If you want to be a writer, read. And if you want to be a cartoonist or a comic book person, read a lot of comic books. And especially check out webcomics, because once again, they're just fantastic nowadays.
Yeah, and you've got to write all the time, no matter what, right? I feel like that's...
even when it's bad, finish it. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Finish it, even if what you've done is like, ugh, this is taking a turn. Finish it, because that's the difference, I think, between people who make it and people who don't, is they actually finish the things.
When you were sort of coming up and meeting people that were potentially going to hire you, talk to me about that, because you'd already kind of established yourself as somebody that was self-motivated and was finding your direction.
Right.
But how would you parlay that into a gig? Like, what kinds of skills would you take into a conversation about somebody?
Well, the thing would be, I'd say, read something that I've done before.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I get rejected all the time for things. I'm not writing for Marvel, and that's not for lack of trying.
Gotcha.
I was once told my friend Gail Simone kind of hooked me up with this X-Men anthology book, and talked to the guy, and he didn't really know who I was, and when he found out I did comedy, he was like, ugh, really? Not comedy.
Wow.
Ugh. So, yeah.
Which is, you and I were talking while we weren't rolling here, that that's the inverse of what's happening with the directors out there. Actually, we were rolling on that, right? The comedy directors are now taking over these massive properties. So why isn't the comics industry doing something like that?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it's just because the people who are involved, the real answer is people who don't have a sense of humor get angry when they see jokes and other people laughing at jokes. And so that's, if you don't get it, it makes you mad. So your drama is a lot easier because you go, oh, I get it. That plot got completed, and I understand. The mystery got solved. But comedy is its own thing, and it's really tricky.
Yes. Well, speaking of comedy, that's your other, you're a multifaceted creator. You've got lots of other skills and lots of other things that you do, but you perform.
Multifaceted means you can't keep one job. By the way, that's what you're saying. Especially in Canada, you better do 5
that was my
things.
Polite way of saying that, but it's true for all of us. Ian.
Indeed.
Yes. So you perform, and you're on stage, and you're making video content, you're making radio content and audio content. Tell me a little bit about that and some of the projects that you've been working on recently.
Well, I used to do a lot of improv. I used to work with the Vancouver Theatre Sports League, and the kind of biggest thing I ever did with them was a show called Star Trek. And here's what usually happens is I'm not into a certain nerdy thing. I get involved in the comedy aspect of it, and then I learn about it. So I was Scotty on the Star Trek thing, and then I learned all about Star Trek. And now I'm in a show called The Critical Hit Show. I never really played Dungeons & Dragons.
Right.
Now I'm in a live role-playing game show that we do once a month over at the Rio Theater. So now I'm learning about all that kind of thing. And that then influences the comic books and other things as I learn.
Of course, right? Yeah, you're always learning. You're always reading and learning and meeting new people and sort of gaining from them and building your content.
And it's so fun finding these different cultures and the fans of all these different things that I wasn't aware of. I was just kind of a comic guy.
Yeah.
And then, it just kind of branches out.
You guys did something with Critical Hit because it's like you perform what you're doing in D&D, right? That's
basically, yeah. So not technically D&D because that's a copyrighted format.
Okay. All right.
We do Third Age. Third Age is it's public domain.
Okay.
Generally.
So a role-playing game.
That's right.
That you actually go and play the roles of on stage.
Correct.
Okay, that's cool.
And I'm a half-elf cleric.
And you had Billy Campbell, I think, came
that's
out and
correct,
joined you guys, right?
Yeah, and we actually had a scene where he impregnated one of the characters on our show.
That's nuts.
Yeah. We actually had a live love scene that we covered up tastefully with a blanket.
Yeah.
But she was a werewolf, so there's puppies now in the show that are Billy Campbell puppies.
No way. And they've stayed with this. So you guys keep the
They
legacy.
live in the woods, and occasionally we'll run into one of them.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yes.
And so Billy Campbell was the Rocketeer for those that are Googling that right now.
Right, and it's now in a show called Cardinal.
Yeah,
which is a great show as well. He's a fantastic guy, and he started off working at Medieval Times.
That's right.
So he knows all that kind of business, and he was so game. It was so much fun.
Yeah, he's a great dude. Is that how it works with something like Critical Hit? Is that you just have lots of people in the arts community that will come and join you for a show?
Sure. Sometimes we'll have guest stars. We've got some surprise guests coming probably for our next show as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Dungeon Master plans the thing, and then we all jam, and it's also very dirty, that show as well. So just heads up.
And it's at the Rio Theater, which is in Vancouver, which is on the bubble of staying or going. We don't quite know yet.
Like anything.
Yes.
Yeah, about 3 people have come into here and just checked this space for condo space since we've been doing this.
It's true. Welcome to Vancouver real estate. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. And Kevin Smith was going to go to the Rio, and he just got sick. And, and he's on the mend.
Hope he's feeling better. Yeah,
yes.
He's a super sweet guy that has always supported the Rio Theater, and he's just the greatest. Yeah,
that's awesome. But that's great that you've got a continuing show inside of that theater. Mm-hmm. That's so awesome. And you also work with Mark Meir on some stuff as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to work with him on The Irrelevant Show, and anything that was a Batman-related sketch. Because here's how I knew how to get a sketch on that show. It was a CBC radio show.
Yeah.
He loves Star Wars. He loves Batman.
Yeah.
He's you, basically. Yeah. I would write sketches, and he would approve them. And that's how I got on that show for a number of years.
Oh, really? So the way that show is working is they just take submissions from comedy writers from different places?
Generally, yeah. But then I became a regular writer on the show. The show went off the air a little time last year, but we've still got a couple of audio and video things that are online if you want to check that out. Mark Meir is just an amazing guy, and he is Commander Shepard in the Mass Effect. Yeah, he's the male Commander Shepard.
He is phenomenal and blew me away when he hosted the Canadian Video Game Awards. I couldn't believe
he's so good.
How talented he was and all these characters and how game he is to be like in makeup and masks and things like that.
This is the one nice thing about the performing aspect of what I do and the writing aspect is that I get to meet these people. Yeah. Whereas I think so many people I know that just do comic books, they have to spend so much time at home drawing and writing. You become a little isolated, and the only time you get to meet people is at cons. It is nice doing the live stuff as well.
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What's Matt Groening like? Is he a good
What's
dude?
my boss like?
Yes.
Oh, sure. Let me give you an honest thing about
honest, and no one's watching. It's just between you and me. We're just here.
He was one of my inspirations for being a cartoonist in that he can't draw very well.
But
he never let that stand in his way. And he was a very bitter guy when he moved to Los Angeles, which is why he did a strip called Life in Hell.
Right.
But it was simple but effective and got an idea across really well and was hilarious. And I went, I can do this. So he was always an inspiration to me.
Yeah.
So and then when The Simpsons came on, I went, this is fantastic, but it'll never last.
Yeah.
Because it's so ugly looking and no one will like this. And then it became the biggest thing in the world.
Yes.
So working with him, it's just been fantastic.
Yeah.
But I'm still gobsmacked when I'm, hanging out with him.
Yeah.
And like we hang out.
Yeah.
We don't hang out. But we do signings and stuff sometimes. And he's always very, very sweet and supportive.
That's cool. Is it, I imagine that it's been around for so long and there's been all of these contract things that have bubbled up in the news and stuff that it feels like we're seeing like a family's dirty laundry in a way. Mm-hmm. Does it feel like it's a big family? The people that work in the Bongo and the Simpsons and all that stuff is.
Well, a family, I guess, in both the good and the bad ways.
Yes, that's what I was.
There's a lot of love. You know what I always say? It's like a family business.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's family, sometimes it's the business.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the heated parts get more heated, and
It has.
But but the best parts are also better because of it as well.
And it's, I mean, the thing that I think that has made Futurama and Simpsons so popular is that people see reality reflected in there, even if it's twisted and weird and cartoony and garish. It's still there's an honesty.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah. Like no matter what you're doing, no matter how surreal the environment, it also has to be true. Like something like a show like Rick and Morty, they go as far as you can go, but it still emotionally has to feel true.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you a huge fan of? You dropped Rick and Morty.
I will go with Rick and Morty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I'm a huge fan of Seth Meyers right now. I love his joke writing and joke delivery and kind of his political skew on things.
Yep.
I'm a huge fan. I'm going to do this. This is a little bit of a kiss butt thing. I'm a huge fan of my wife.
Yes.
She did a comic book called Why the Last Man that was very, very popular, and maybe a TV show very shortly. We'll see. I can't say anything. There's nothing I can say.
Pia's sitting right over there, by the way.
Yeah,
and she doesn't want to be on the show today.
But because she's done so much media lately.
Yeah.
But she's been doing a lot of editorial cartoons lately,
yes.
and just completely nailing things so well. So yeah, I'm an enormous fan of hers. And my sister-in-law is here too, and she's a brilliant filmmaker as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So creativity runs throughout the family.
Sure.
Yes.
Even though we're not in any way blood related.
Yes.
Sure. It runs through different people that are related now by law.
Yes, Steven Silva says, "Why the last man?" with an exclamation mark.
Darn tootin'.
Pia is sitting right here watching her husband. How did you two meet? Let's hear your side, and then when I have Pia on the show, I'll hear her side.
We met at a Comic-Con. We were both in a anthology of The Desert Peach. It's a Donna Barr book. But we were dating other people at the time, so no dice, because we don't do that kind of thing.
Right.
Then many years later, I was single, and I was wondering what she was up to. And I had heard that she got married.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, there you go. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
But I Googled her, as you could then, and she Googled me back. That sounds dirty. And it turned out, no, she was not married. That was a complete lie, and she was running a kids' clothing store in New Westminster and said, why don't you come over? Wow. And I did, and we fell in love.
Wow. So Pia had moved to Vancouver?
Yeah, she was still doing comics.
Yeah.
But kind of looking for that big break, and which would come a couple of years later on.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, that's a story for another day.
Sure.
The reason why I wanted it, well, many reasons. As you can all see, there are many sort of entryways into having a great conversation with this man. But
oh, bless.
You've got a brand new book out. It's called Sparks.
Yes.
And you reached out and you said, well, I think that's a private thing, but it was a very nice gesture, and I think that's cool.
Sure. Okay.
It's private, like we're not wearing pants, kind of private. But
I reached out apparently.
Yes, you did. You reached out, and you said, "I've got this new book,"
and somehow I got on the show.
And let's talk about it. And I said, "Absolutely, let's talk about it. Tell me about Sparks." And we'll try to get our minds out of the gutter.
Sure,
Yeah,
please do.
All right.
Well, one of the people I worked with on The Simpsons is Nina Matsumoto, who's an amazing artist in her own right. And we got an Eisner for a comic we did called Murder He Wrote, which is a parody of the Death Note series.
Okay.
And we always wanted to work on stuff together, and we've jammed on a couple of web things. And then we pitched Scholastic's idea that cats aren't ever heroes in stories.
Right.
No one takes a cat hero seriously. So these two cats decide to team up and get into a mechanical dog suit and pretend to be a dog hero. And that is Sparks, who is now the greatest dog hero in the world, who is actually two cats.
That is fantastic.
And they fight an evil baby who's bent on taking over the world.
Now, you and Pia are cat people.
We are cat people because we can't have a dog.
Oh, okay.
But we also are cat people. And the cats are based on two cats that we have had, Charlie and August, yes.
And they're inventors together, right? Or
no, only August is the inventor.
Only the one cat is the inventor.
That's right. Okay. That's the very smart cat, and the other cat is fearless to the point of being stupid.
So the heroic one that can be manipulated by the smart one.
You read into it what you want to read into it. But the other cat is very, very brave. And again, it's based on our cat, and we have a note from the vet that on the very top said, Charlie was very brave. And so I always like that, and I went, okay, I want to use that in some story, and now we have.
And I understand it's already number 3 on the kids' book.
Yeah, the number 3 Canadian kids book in our country.
That's a fantastic stat. That's
it was
amazing.
a complete
It just
shock.
launched this week, right?
Yeah, it's right underneath I Love You Forever by Robert Munch, and how are we going to beat that?
Yeah.
We're not.
Never.
So number 3 sounds fantastic. Bronze is the Canadian gold. So we're very happy.
And this book will also make you guys cry a lot less than I Love You Forever as well.
I don't know. We got some tender stuff in this as well. Yeah, it's got nice. Some man. It's got some, and it's narrated by a sentient litter box.
Okay. Okay.
But it's very grounded and very true as well. Go to your bookstore. Check it out.
Pot is virtually legal in Canada as well.
Virtually?
Yes.
What's that mean?
The other thing I noticed about this is it's a hefty book. It's not just like a monthly. It's not like 23 pages and you're out. This is you guys put a lot of work into.
Yeah, it's what they call a graphic novel. We still call it comic books. For the most part, most people I know call this comic book. But yeah, it's like about 190 pages or so.
That's wild. How long did it take to put that together?
It took me to write it probably about 7 months, and it took about that amount of time, I think, for Nina to draw it. You'd have to ask her, but it was a substantial amount of time.
Does she live in Canada as well? Or
she does. She lives in Port Coquitlam. Okay. I'll give you her address.
Okay.
Anyway,
cool.
It's... I know she knows I'm joking, but there's a bit of her that just got terrified watching this. She's amazing, by the way. If you go to Space Coyote online, you'll see she does a lot of video game T-shirts and stuff as well, and she's amazing.
Oh, so she's into all of this world.
Oh as well. My gosh!
So you said
so much more than me
in a robotic dog suit, and she went, "Yeah, we're in."
Well, she's not a real cat person. Yeah, so that's the worst thing is like some of the reviews have gone. These people are clearly cat people,
right?
And she went, "Oh, it's my worst nightmare."
Yeah.
She's a dog person.
And you're like really going to pit cat and dog people. I mean,
know.
you went right for this. This is like high controversy.
Let me tell you something that's been one of the nicest things about the reviews has been people saying that their kid, normally they go, oh, my child doesn't like reading, but they've been reading it out loud to our dog.
Oh.
So dogs are getting this book read to them.
Oh, wow. And will that make them have troubles with their esteem, or is it going to be okay?
I think dogs have good self-esteem generally, don't they?
I
think a good boy at the end and you're going to be all right.
That is awesome. And so Scholastic is not a company that you traditionally think of as a comic book publisher. But do they do this kind of thing?
You should think of them as a comic book publisher, because a book like Smile, which is a book about Rainier Tegelmeyer, I think. Tegelmeyer is one of the best-selling graphic novels. Period.
Oh, wow.
It's so huge, and it's this ignored part of comics that most comic fans don't have no idea about.
Okay.
But in terms of book sales, to the moon and back.
That is amazing.
Like Killing Joke and then Smile.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I know. It was a surprise to me as well.
That's fantastic. So was that something that, like, were you pitching Sparks to different publishers, and they were the ones that...
It was originally an animated pitch that a local company didn't bite at, which is fine. That's normal. Most things don't go.
Yeah.
And then, just ended up... they liked the work that Nina and I were doing together, and they went for it.
That's
and it was a very long process, because they run it by focus group after focus group after focus group before they even greenlight the concept.
Yeah.
So many hoops to jump through before we got here.
Well, congrats. That's
Thank you
fantastic.
kindly. We're very happy with it, and hopefully you'll give it a try.
Well, you're a testament to trying a lot of different things and having some perseverance and believing in your own ability and your talents, and you're a wonderful dude.
Thank you. Back at you, my friend.
Thank you for coming on.
I really enjoyed the show again, and so it's like this is such a treat.